CNET, are you ready? Okay. I'd like to call to order the December 16th, 2024 regular board meeting of the State College Area School District Board of Directors. If everyone who's able could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everyone joining us in person this evening and those viewing remotely from home. The board held an executive session prior to this meeting regarding legal matters and safety. Apologies. Board members, with the agenda before you, are there any changes? Okay. Then I'd like to call on the board secretary for a roll call of board members, please.
Dr. Bader.
Here.
Dr. Anderson.
Here.
Ms. Brandt.
Here.
Dr. Buck.
Here.
Dr. Crevecore.
Here.
Dr. Demo.
Here.
Ms. Huff.
Here.
Mr. Colby.
Here.
Dr. Miller.
Here.
Thank you. So we'll start off with communications, and this evening, this is the time of year we typically have the announcement of many retirements. We have several with some information to share about each individual this evening. So I'm going to start off with a few, and then I'm going to hand off and let Dr. Anderson finish it out. So we're going to start off with Gail Romig. She will retire in June after 33 years with the district. Starting on March 27, 1989, Gail worked as a secretary for her first 9 years, initially in the coordinator's office and then for the next 8 years at Hauserville Elementary. In 2001, she switched to being a teacher, first at Mount Nittany Middle School for a year and then at Park Forest Elementary until 2011, and at Easterly Parkway the following year. Stints as an instructional coach followed at Easterly Parkway, Radio Park, and Coral Street before she returned to the classroom teaching at Radio Park up till the present. Radio Park Principal Alex Raup commended Gail for her teaching, saying, "Gail is one of the most kind and genuine educators with which I've ever had the pleasure to work. She goes above and beyond to hone her craft and do the best she can for students and teammates. I am daily blown away by her collaborative nature and desire to grow. She is the true definition of teacher and coach and has positively impacted the lives of so many students and colleagues. I'm a better educator for the time I've had on the same team as Gail." And I have to add just a brief personal thank you to Gail. She was pivotal for one of my children in 3rd grade, without whom she was just very impactful for our family, and I'm very grateful that she was part of the district. The board thanks Gail for her service and wishes her the best in retirement. Lori Pagnato will retire in June with 25 years in the district. Starting in 2000 at Lamont Elementary, Lori worked as a paraprofessional for 3 years, then became an elementary teacher there until 2014. She spent the next 3 years as a professional development associate before returning to teach at Lamont. In 2020, she helped launch Spring Creek Elementary, where she continues to teach today. Spring Creek Principal Paul Brigman commended Lori for her contributions to the district, noting, "To say that Lori Pagnato has been foundational to Spring Creek Elementary and SCASD communities would be a tremendous understatement. Lori has changed countless lives of children and families with whom she has worked for decades as a passionate educator, a curricular visionary, a teacher of teachers, and compassionate leader. Her wisdom and unique expertise for elementary education is second to none, and she has dedicated so much of her life to helping young children become eager learners, kind friends, and engaged citizens. Lori has gone far beyond her call of duty as a teacher to support families, enrich the culture of her school, and to contribute to the educational mission of SCASD at a systemic level. She has not just left an impression, but rather an impact on each child whom she has served in her years of teaching. And the Spring Creek community is forever grateful for her service and commitment to the art of teaching." The board thanks Lori for her service and wishes her the best in retirement. Jim Shaper will retire in June after 32 years with the district. Since August 31st, 1993, Jim has taught math at the high school. Math department coordinator Tyler Constable commended Jim for his distinguished career, saying, "Jim has a personality that enables him to develop meaningful relationships with his students and colleagues alike." He says, "I love being in the classroom with the kids, and he will most miss the people he interacted with every day. He has been a key member of establishing a family-like culture within the department and generously hosts department social events at his home every year that sees current and former math teachers attend. Jim looks forward to continuing to coach golf, working at a golf course, completing long overdue home projects, and traveling to visit his children. His dedication to his students' generosity to all around him and humorous quips will be greatly missed. Congratulations on a well-earned retirement, Jim. That was all from Tyler. So State High Principal Laura Tobias also praised Jim for his teaching, saying, quote, "As principal, it is my privilege to recognize the remarkable career of James Jim Shaper, who has dedicated 35 years to education, including 32 impactful years here at SCASD. Jim has been a pillar of our mathematics department, teaching courses like Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and the Keystone Remediation course. Beyond the classroom, Jim has contributed as a coach for basketball, softball, golf, and soccer teams, and served as the advisor for the STAT Club, impacting numerous students and families, fostering state-high pride. Jim's infectious personality and deep care for his students and colleagues have made him an irreplaceable part of our school community. His ability to build meaningful relationships has left a lasting impression on everyone he had worked with. On behalf of our entire school community, we extend our heartfelt congratulations and gratitude for a career well spent." Jim has also taught 2 of my students, so I am grateful as well. And that shows that I've been on this board too long. The board thanks Jim for his service and wishes him the best in retirement. The last one I'm going to do here is Brad Fisher, who will retire in June after 32 years with the district. Since August 31st, 1991, Brad has taught driver's education at the high school. Health, PE, and driver safety coordinator Tracy Edelman praised his teaching, saying, "Brad has dedicated 32 years of teaching driver's education here in State College, shaping countless students into safe and confident drivers. Over the years, his calm demeanor and wealth of knowledge have made him a trusted guide behind the wheel. Brad's expertise extends far beyond parallel parking and three-point turns. He has provided students with essential life skills and a strong foundation in road safety. Throughout his tenure, Brad has been known for his patience with students during what can be a nerve-wracking experience. His colleagues admire his dedication to ensuring every student leaves his class better prepared for life on the road. He works collaboratively with our instructional technology coaches to create the virtual course and has continued to work to improve the online experiences for students. Now, as Brad moves into retirement, he looks forward to no longer living his life in 90-minute blocks, embracing a schedule that allows more time for family, personal pursuits, and perhaps a few road trips on his own, this time as a passenger. We wish Brad all the best as he shifts gears into this exciting new chapter of his life. Safe travels, Brad." State High Principal Laura Tobias also commended Brad for his State High career, saying, "As principal, it's an honor to celebrate Brad's remarkable 32-year career teaching driver's education here in State College. His patience and understanding have made him a trusted figure during what can be an often anxiety-filled learning experience for students. We admire his dedication to student success and his collaborative spirit. Notably, Brad partnered with our instructional technology team to develop and continuously enhance the virtual driver's education course, ensuring it remains a valuable resource for our students." As Brad Fisher prepares to embark on this well-earned retirement, we celebrate not only his incredible contributions as a driver's education teacher, but also the positive impact he has had on the lives of countless students and colleagues. Brad's patience, dedication, and commitment to road safety have left a lasting legacy in our school and community. We wish him all the best in this exciting new chapter filled with family, relaxation, and adventures of his own, this time with no schedule and the freedom to enjoy the journey. Thank you, Brad, for everything you've done. Safe travels and happy retirement from Ms. Tobias. The board thanks Brad for his service and wishes him the best in retirement. You want to take over?
Sure. Bobby Knapp will retire in June after 26 years in the district. Starting on August 31st, 1999, Bobby taught English at Park Forest Middle School for 14 years. Since 2013, she has been an academic literacy teacher at Park Forest. Park Forest Principal Karen Weiser commended Bobby for her career, saying, "Bobby has done an outstanding job teaching ELA and ACLIT in our district. She is passionate about literacy and teaching her students to love reading and writing. Bobby's dedication to literacy led her to be instrumental in creating our academic literacy course. She worked tirelessly to create enriching and engaging content for our students in this course. Bobby has been a contributing member of our SCASD and Park Forest Middle School Diversity and Inclusivity Committees. She is steadfast in her conviction that all students deserve an equitable learning experience, and as such, Bobby has served as an official mentor to numerous students over the years. Bobby has also served on our Park Forest Middle School Hospitality Council. She has added joy in everyone's day, assisting with providing staff with special treats and social opportunities. Bobby's care and compassion for her students has been greatly appreciated. We wish her all the best in retirement and know that she will delight in spending time with her 2 daughters and her husband. The board thanks Bobby for her service and wishes her the best in retirement. Mark Bainey will retire in June after 32 and a half years with the district. From 1991 to the present, except for a short hiatus earlier in his career, Mark has taught health and phys ed at the high school. District Health, PE, and Driver Safety Coordinator Tracy Edelman commended Mark for his career, saying, "Mark began his career here in State College as a member of the State High football coaching staff, and he started teaching health and phys ed the following year. With 36 years of consecutive commitment to the program, Mark is the longest tenured coach in the history of State College football. A part of the staff of Coach Ron Pavlechko, Coach Dave Lintel, Coach Al Wolski, and now Coach Matt Lintel, Mark is the one constant that has linked the past with the present and carried on the tradition of excellence. During his teaching career, Mark has taught 9th grade PE and health, 10th grade PE, select PE, adapted PE, honors PE, and virtual PE. Outside the classroom, Mark has had a number of roles. Besides coaching football for 36 years, he also coached wrestling for 2 years. Mark also served as sophomore class advisor and led the Slay the Dragon team, and most recently a self-described weather geek, a member of the State College High School Prognosticators. Mark will always be known as the guy with an incredible memory. He can recall students, players, statistics, plays, and events with great detail. He's the go-to guy if you need a historical fact. Mark plans to continue coaching football, so his Friday nights will still be spent at Memorial Field or elsewhere in the Mid-Penn. In addition, he is looking forward to more time for golf, his children, and grandchildren, and travel. We wish Mark all the best in this new phase of life. State High Principal Laura Tobias also praised Mark's dedication as a coach and educator, saying, "Mark's remarkable career has left an indelible mark on the State College community as both a dedicated educator and an influential coach. Mark has been a cornerstone of our school's athletic and academic programs. In his 34 years as a teacher, Mark has positively influenced students through courses like 9th and 10th grade PE and health and all the other PEs. I'm not going to list them again. His multifaceted contributions have consistently emphasized the importance of physical fitness, teamwork, and perseverance, shaping students to excel both on and off the field. Though Mark is stepping away from the classroom, I am certain his passion for coaching will continue, ensuring his Friday nights remain devoted to the game he loves. As he moves into this new chapter, we wish him the very best. Thank you, Mark, for your unwavering dedication and the countless lives you've impacted. Congratulations on a well-deserved retirement." The board also thanks Mark for his service and wishes him the best in retirement. Sheila Abruzzo will retire in June after 37 years in the district. From 1988 to 2008, Sheila taught at Park Forest Elementary. For the next 16 years, she has been a learning enrichment and gifted teacher at Radio Park Elementary until 2013, and then at the high school until now. Since 2019, she also has served in the same role at Park Forest and Mount Nittany Middle Schools. State High Principal Laura Tobias praised Sheila's contributions to the district, saying, "Throughout her remarkable career, Sheila has worn many hats, leaving a permanent mark at every stage, which has consistently demonstrated her dedication to fostering growth and excellence. Sheila's impact has been felt through her work with the Learning Enrichment and Gifted Support Program, where she played a pivotal role in expanding and enhancing the program's reach. At State High, she further enriches student opportunities by fostering the growth of clubs like Ocean Bowl and Quiz Bowl, providing countless students with platforms to challenge themselves and thrive. A passionate advocate for equity, Sheila has led by example in her work as an equity advocate and leader of the Bar We team. paving the way for greater inclusivity and understanding within our school community. As a gifted case manager, Sheila has collaborated with hundreds of families across Park Forest Middle, Mount Nittany Middle, and State High, offering support and guidance that has left a lasting impact. Sheila's unwavering commitment to the State College community and her ability to inspire students and colleagues alike have profoundly shaped SCASD's success today. As we celebrate her remarkable career, we extend our heartfelt thanks for her dedication, leadership, and vision. Congratulations on a well-earned retirement, Sheila. You have truly made a difference. The board also thanks Sheila for her service and wishes her the best in retirement. And finally, Donna Bach will retire in June after 25 years in the district. Since August 29, 2000, Donna has been a special education teacher at the high school. State High Principal Laura Tobias praised Donna for her dedication, saying, "It is with heartfelt appreciation that we celebrate Donna's incredible 25 years of service to SCASD. Her unwavering dedication, compassion, and extraordinary commitment to her students and our school community have been nothing short of remarkable. Donna's thoughtful and loving approach to meeting the needs of her students has left an indelible mark on countless lives. Her support, encouragement, and guidance have shaped the lives of so many within our State High community, fostering an environment where everyone feels valued and empowered. Donna's legacy will be defined by the countless students and families whose lives she has touched with her kindness and dedication. Her ability to connect with others and her steadfast commitment to ensuring the success and well-being of her students is truly commendable. We are deeply grateful for the lasting impact Donna has made on our school community. Congratulations, Donna, on an extraordinary career and a well-deserved retirement. You will always be a cherished part of the State High family. The board thanks Donna for her service and wishes her the best in retirement."
Can I just also, as one of a family that's been transformed by Donna Bach, I just want to send a personal thank you for changing our family's life. So thanks, Donna.
Yeah, this is always a special time of year for those of us on the board when these retirements come in. There's someone we've personally been connected with, so it's a bittersweet moment. So up next, we have superintendent update. Mr. Johnson, do you have anything this evening?
I just want to say that we have a number of retirees that haven't reached the 25 years, but are retiring. And I just want to wish them all the best and thank you for your years of service with the State College Area School District. You have made a difference in many kids' lives, many students' lives, and the staff. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, not hitting that milestone doesn't diminish the impact that any of those individuals have as well. So thanks for making that comment. Student representative update. Grace.
Is this working today? Recently, the Mount Nittany Middle School Quiz Bowl team answered the challenge of the Fall Thinking Cap Quiz Bowl competition with total accuracy. The competitors aced 100 questions, earning a perfect score and first place nationally out of 99 schools. Congratulations to our team advisor, Andrew Ahern, and the participating students. Sorry that didn't work out.
It's a tricky learning experience. Next up, we have legislative update. Jackie, do you have anything to share this evening?
Yeah, I just have three small points. So first, I just wanted to say that Representative Wahlberg has been named the chair of the Federal House Committee on Education and Workforce Development. President Biden has signed a law that mandates that an October 1st deadline for FAFSA release. So moving forward, we should be seeing that released by October 1st. And otherwise, the state legislature is quiet. They have no days in session this month. They're back January 7th, but that's actually for swearing everyone in. So they will not be back to work in earnest until the end of January. So I will not have many updates until then, but I'll be here.
I was going to say, hopefully we won't be here quite, I think, until about that time. So maybe you will have something after all. Center Region Council of Governments Liaison, Gretchen or Peter?
I do not have anything this week. Do you, Peter?
Yeah, just an update on PPA signings. So the Center County Commissioners voted 3-0 to join the PPA. Harris Township voted to re-enter the PPA on a 3-2 vote. The Center Hall Potter Joint Authority voted not to join the PPA. And this week, tonight, the State College Borough will vote yes or no, and Patton Township will vote on Wednesday.
Thanks for that.
And I think the State College Borough Water Authority is this week, but I am not certain.
All right, sounds good. Then moving on, we have now time for public comment. Each individual will be allotted up to 3 minutes for items related to board business that are not a consent or action item this evening. For those items, public comment will be held just prior to voting on that item. If you'd like to make a comment this evening, please join us at the podium. Yeah. If you can state your name and where you reside in the district.
Good evening, Shay McGowan. I'm speaking as president of the State College Area Education Association. It is a privilege to stand before you today to honor and celebrate the retiring teachers and members of the State College Area Education Association. Each of you has dedicated your career to shaping young minds, fostering growth, and building a foundation for success in countless students' lives. Your tireless commitment to the education, your unwavering patience, and your passion for teaching have made a profound impact, not only on your students, but on your colleagues and on the entire community. You have given your time, energy, and heart to this profession, and your legacy will live on in the lives of who you have touched. As you embark on this exciting new chapter of your life, please know how deeply appreciated you are. On behalf of the SCAEA and all those who have benefited from your guidance and care, we extend our heartfelt thanks. We wish you all the best in this next stage, filled with joy, relaxation, the pursuit of your dreams, and the ability to pee whenever you want to. Thank you for everything you've done to make our schools, our students, and our community stronger. Congratulations on your well-deserved retirement. Thank you.
Thank you, Shay. Anyone else here in person to make a public comment this evening? Do we have anybody online, perhaps? All right. Then we'll move on to the consent agenda. This includes several items that we'll address in a single motion for approval, but we'll go stepwise through each category for questions. First up, we have approval of minutes. Any questions? Okay, those are usually straightforward. Consent agenda items on finance and personnel. We have several athletic sponsorships, rental agreements for both proms, so people interested in those dates can find those there in May. Agreement for some electricity rates until the PPA is launched, along with some other routine items. Any questions on those? Yes, Peter?
I have a comment.
Yep.
The electricity rate is very close to the estimated rate that Pam used for the PPA calculations in our previous meetings. So that looks very promising.
Yeah. Excellent. Instructional programs is just some student travel. Any problems there? How about physical plant? Some concrete planter installations, and routine contracts. No? All right. And then finally, we have several policies that we've reviewed previously at other meetings. Any last-minute questions or corrections there? All right. Well, with that, I'd like to call for a motion to approve the consent agenda, items 6 through 10, as presented. Do I have a motion?
Have so moved.
Trevor seconds.
Awesome. One more time, any last questions or discussion? I have to ask this, so. Any public comment on the consent agenda? All right. Board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The consent agenda has passed. We're going to move on to action items, starting with agenda item 11A is a motion to approve the 2023-2024 audited financial statements. And we reviewed these at a previous meeting. This is shown in attachment 11A.
So moved.
Second half.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion on this? We had a nice presentation from the financial team at our previous meeting. Excellent. Any public comment on the audited financial statements? All right, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that item is passed. We'll move on to agenda item 11B is a motion to approve an agreement for Cartwheel Mental Health Services as shown in attachment 11B.
Miller, so moved.
Have second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? is there anything you want to share, Michelle, in particular? I mean, you don't have to, but I know this was one that we kind of didn't have all the details when we discussed it at the last meeting. So I didn't know if there's any special things you wanted to share about this group.
Yes, thank you. You are correct that this was part of our process to look for some enhanced EAP services for our current staff. After a lot of deliberation, this is going to be in conjunction with the Student Services Office. I believe Stephanie's online if anybody has questions for her about it, but also, we found this to be the best at this time. We also will be sending out information to our staff after the first of the year regarding this service. It's going to be a self-referral. All employees will have availability to self-refer, but it is confidential. So the district doesn't get information about that, but we can track utilization numbers, so we will know whether or not the service is utilized. So this is a step. We're going to contract with them for a year, and then take a look at how it assisted our employees.
Okay, that's great.
Anybody have any questions?
I had one. So I assume this is a national organization,
Yeah, they're
not local.
right. They're primarily in two other states, Connecticut and I believe Illinois.
Okay.
But they have a consortium with the CIU 10 right now, and we have Bald Eagle area, Bellefonte School District, Mushannon Valley, and Keystone Central are currently using Cartwheel for their student services.
And have they similarly the thing about the no wait list kind of blows my mind, given how large wait lists are for services now. How do they do that?
It's an online service, so they have online therapists.
Just have enough people to do it? Oh, and that's been the experience of the other districts as well?
That's what we've heard, yeah.
Yeah, I was at the Superintendent's Association for the state, and a number of superintendents were praising this company.
They currently work with 175 school districts, I was told today.
Do we know if any of the other local districts are using for the English language learner? That was really exciting to me that that's an option as well.
Yes, I believe that's part of all their package. I don't know that any of the other districts are currently using it for staff, though, so we might be the first district using it for staff, which the representative and I spoke about today, and we talked about he said maybe we can develop some intricacies in the program that would suit our staff, since we're going to be the first one locally to use it for staff.
Yeah, I guess I don't have a question more than a comment. To Aaron's point, I was kind of excited, but also trepidatious about the wait list and how reliable that would be. Because I know, in particular for items like prescribers, I saw it offers medication management, including for students as part of the student services part, which I found really surprising and hopefully exciting. And Stephanie, I'm sure you're planning on making sure that a lot of staff are apprised of that. I know personally that that's a real need in our own community. It's really challenging. I think we only have one, maybe two child psychiatrists in town and a couple of nurse practitioners who can do medication management for students, for example, taking ADHD medication. So that's been a real barrier for a lot of families locally to start the process of helping their child and student, through dealing with that. So that was a really positive thing that I'm excited to have us, kind of have a sense of how that's working, because that's a big need in our community when we talk about mental health.
One of the things that kind of caught our eye with with Cartwheel is that Gaggle had some limitations, and Cartwheel actually mirrored our own internal processes for school-based mental health in regards to our referral system services, the way their dashboard set up, and we were really excited about the opportunities. So the expansion of mental health services for not only our students and staff, but what they have family coaching, they have case management, psychiatry. So it really looking at their menu of options really kind of helped to bolster what we're also supporting with our student services and school-based mental health team. The other thing that we really liked is that they took an entire year before coming on board to Pennsylvania to really kind of look on through what certifications clinicians needed, what the needs were in Pennsylvania, the insurance coverages. So you can see from their insurance package, they're covering everything, including private insurances, Medicaid, and if there's a family that doesn't have insurance, they do have options to support those families as well. So we were really impressed by what opportunities that Cartwheel was going to be able to provide. Plus, it was helpful within our IU region. There was positive feedback regarding from Cartwheel.
Thanks, Stephanie. That's really good to know.
Please also know that this is, employee wellness is extremely important to me, so I will be monitoring this closely, and if it doesn't work out well, we will be making enhancements in the future.
Good. Yeah, Debbie.
Stephanie just touched on this briefly, but I guess I just want to make it clear. Like, this would be to enter into a partnership, but it doesn't mean that the district is paying for meetings of students or staff with providers. Those are funded by families and insurance, right?
Correct.
Okay. I just want everybody to understand that ahead of time, so families aren't surprised that this is not like free counseling that this district is providing.
Right. This is a coordination of
Exactly.
connecting people with resources and services. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
But knowing, the wait list is really helpful. Any other questions? Okay, thanks very much, Michelle and Stephanie. Any public comment on this item? That's okay. All right. Board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that item has passed. Moving on to agenda item 11C is a motion to approve an agreement with IU10 for a math curriculum audit. This is shown in attachment 11C.
So moved, Anderson?
Colby, second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded, and we had a preview about this at our previous meeting. This would be similar to our ELA audit that we had completed a couple of years ago. Any questions from board members since the last meeting? Yeah, Peter.
I think something that I'm just kind of curious about to see when we get it back is the way that our teachers, the way our district is using real-world examples, right? I think I'm just very curious about that, given the number of challenges that we see in the world where enhanced numeracy could be of great use. That's just a comment and a hope, please.
They'll be looking at the standards of mathematical practice specifically, and as well as our data and classroom visits and all of that together. So I can ask them to look for that. I'm not sure they're going to see that in some places. For example, some math teachers are using current market pricing, which our curriculum documents are written as, more generic, like things that teachers can put in their own problems with. But yeah, I can ask her to look for that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, any public comment on this item? Thanks, Chris. All right, board members, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that item is passed. Agenda item 11D is a motion to approve the purchase of a food service department vehicle, shown in attachment 11D.
Miller, so moved.
Grant, second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion on this item? Seems we're replacing an older vehicle with something more current. Okay, any public comment on this item? All right, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that item is also passed. Agenda item 11E is a motion to approve an agreement with Spark Photonics, Inc. for its Spark Alpha Explorer program. There would be no cost to SCASD to be a pilot school for this program. These are all shown in attachment 11E.
Miller, so moved.
Kovacor, second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Yeah, Dr. Anderson.
I just have one question regarding the period after the pilot. I'll wait until you sit down, Chris. So in the contract, it says that SCASD would commit to independently running Spark Alpha in the school with at least 2 additional classes of students over the 12 months following the termination of the teaming period. So is there any cost to that continuation?
The cost would be if we took field trips or if we decided to visit one of the superconductor plants or something like that. That would be the same as any other field trip.
Okay.
I don't believe there's any cost beyond that, no.
Okay, so not for the curriculum or whatever.
Right.
That they're using.
What we decide to take on.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
That's it? Yep. Okay. Other questions? This is really interesting.
Yeah.
I was confused at first because I went to the business website. I was like, wait, what? And then I saw they have a foundation, so that's through what this all is funneled through. Yeah, I was like, so, yeah.
They only pick 2 school districts per state.
Oh, wow.
And so we got in early and fast, and we were one of the 2. And there are only 2 plants being proposed to make these chips, these superconductors. And we're kind of like in the center of both. So it would be a really exciting opportunity for our kids to get on the ground floor of this innovative technology, because these chips were currently being made outside the United States. And so during the pandemic, we realized that we really needed to ramp that up within the United States, and that's what this initiative is. It's part of a federal grant, the CHIPS grant. And so we're really excited about it. One plant is planned for Syracuse, New York, and the other one in Columbus, Ohio. So both are certainly within traveling distance for our kids to see and to be able to participate in this super innovative technology. So
Yeah.
we're excited about that.
Thank you to the CHIPS Act.
Can I just ask, what would a virtual field trip look like? Because that's in the contract as well.
So they can, it can be an asynchronous one where they take pictures and video of what's happening versus them visiting and having maybe some hands-on experiences there. Yep. We do virtual field trips more than ever with the lack of busing and the expense of busing. They're becoming more and more attractive to us. It's much more fun to go in person, but sometimes we have to look for other means.
I just have a comment.
Yeah.
I just think this is so cool because this is a problem that we all became so aware of, and now something like this is happening in our school district, and this is really cool.
And I want to thank Dr. Ben Morden for really getting on this, because I'm sure the competition was steep, and we really got in there and got our application in, and we were selected as one of the 2. So
much appreciation to
yes.
him.
Yes.
Yeah, and I also to the organization that's, fostering this program. I mean, they could have taken,
It's a $1.9 billion grant. Give you a sense of the scope of that.
For the educational piece alone, or?
For the entire.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So, yeah, super excited.
Yeah. Thanks to everyone who applied.
Thank you.
Any public comment on this item? And I'm sorry, I neglected to ask board members, were there any other questions? I thought we kind of had them all covered. Okay. Any public comment on this item? I asked that, didn't I? Goodness. How about board members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That item is passed. It's a long list tonight, so it's no wonder I'm getting tongue-tied in the middle. All right, agenda item 11F is a motion to approve an agreement with Dr. Susan Swear to provide an external review of bullying across the district. This is shown in attachment 11F.
Brant, so moved.
Trevor Quest, second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Questions or discussion? I know we got briefed a bit on this and we were waiting on the contract at the last meeting. Yeah, Dan.
Just a quick question. Quick question under the compensation piece. So we're authorizing 12 hours worth of work for the code of conduct and bullying policy, correct? Do we think that might take a little bit longer than that 12 hours? Should we give a little bit of a buffer there?
We have up to exceed, so if she needs more, up to 25,000, so if she needs more time to do that, she can allow us to know and we can work that out.
Okay. I just, when we're doing work like this, I don't like to limit them to too much, because if they start really getting into the code of conduct and bullying policy, which we want them to do, we want them to take the time that they need to get it done. So we're not now 2 years from now being like, oh shoot, we should have done more work back then. Now we're paying and going through the whole process again, right? So I know our not to exceed is 25,000. If there's other questions, I'm going to do math here for a second.
I got to ask about focus groups because I always do. So sort of similar to what Dan was saying, it mentions 3 to 5 separate focus groups. I'm not sure how we would determine, one, how many focus groups for her to do, but also that includes students, parents, and teachers. I was just wondering if she had information about what the makeup of those focus groups would be and how people would be chosen for them.
Okay, I can field that
Dr.
question.
Swear is with us.
Okay.
So my understanding that the focus groups were just with the students. And I had talked with CJ and other people in the district about, having a process where we would, ask parents if they would, allow their, child to participate or not, and then really have a random selection. So it wasn't just a, kind of selected group of students. And I can kind of, we can, kind of map that out. If you want me to do focus groups with teachers and parents, I'm happy to do that. That will obviously add, to my time. So it's totally up to you all.
Could I just ask,
I think,
if I could just ask, do you think that 3 to 5 focus groups would be enough to get the information that you're looking for?
So, yeah, I mean, it just kind of depends on what you all want in terms of, the kind of, my understanding is, the middle school kids, the kids who are in 9th grade, and then, really kind of creating an environment where the kids are going to, feel comfortable to kind of talk about their perceptions and their experiences. So, I mean, we can, there's no magic kind of number, but I think in terms of thinking about as kids, are in middle school and then transitioning to high school, what you all, kind of the information you want really matters in terms of the depth and breadth of kids' experiences. And then if you're wanting teacher, experiences and perceptions and parent experiences and perceptions, which I all think are really important, we hadn't talked about the parent and teacher piece in terms of the focus groups.
We were talking about, for focus groups, having 2 elementary, 2 middle school, and 1 high school. So those were the focus groups that were compared to the 3 focus groups that we originally were proposed.
How many students are in a focus group?
So anywhere from 6 to 10, anywhere over 10, you've got kids then who aren't, they don't feel comfortable talking. Under 6, it's not all that representative.
Plus using the bullying survey too that we were going to do. I think we were talking about 3rd to 12th or 4th to 12th.
I guess my concern would just be, since we've talked so much about the middle schools in particular recently, even if you had 10 in a focus group, these are middle schools of 750 students, which means that, especially if we're using random assignment and we're using, obviously it's students who are interested in talking with you or with each other, but I do wonder if that potentially limits the opportunities for students to feel heard if there's things that they want to talk about.
Yeah, and I've done this in many, different ways. I mean, sometimes, schools would really like to say, hey, we would like to have you talk to kids who have been bullied. And we'd like you to talk to kids who we kind of know are doing the bullying, and really set up the groups in a targeted way. And that works as well. So I just think, you all are experts in terms of your district and the dynamics in the district. And I'm happy to, engage with students, teachers, parents in terms of how you want to do that. And there's really no kind of right way. like I wish there was. The advantage of random assignment is that it's unbiased. A disadvantage is you may not target the students, parents, teachers who you really want to get information from. And so then there's definitely an advantage of saying, okay, kids who have, been bullied, here's an opportunity for you to participate in these focus groups with the researcher that we're contracting with. For kids who are, bullying others, here's an opportunity to talk about that. So, in terms of my own work, I have an intervention for kids who do the bullying, and we are rolling out a online group intervention for kids who are targeted. So you can go either way in terms of the ultimate goal is to obviously understand the landscape of bullying in a school district and how you want to kind of craft or organize these focus groups. It can go either way, and there's an equal argument on both sides. So the random assignment allows for unbiased or controls bias. Targeted groups then factor that in.
I could also see it would be useful to get the perspective of a random group of students to try to understand how well they receive anti-bullying messaging or programming. Because you don't just want to hear that from the perspective of the bullies, obviously, but from the entire student body, I guess. So, and I guess maybe that might be represented in your survey.
Well, so we've gone back and forth. We've had conversations about the survey. So there's a longer version of the survey that gives a lot more information, but it would be more expensive. And then there's a shorter version that really kind of just gets at, have you been bullied? Have you bullied others? Have you witnessed bullying? And so, the latest contract that, the superintendent's office and district that I've gone back and forth with is with the shorter survey. So it gives you information on just basically numbers of kids who say that they're involved in bullying as a victim, bully victim, perpetrator or bystander. And then the longer version, it's more data. So you can go either way with a shorter, quantitative survey or a longer quantitative survey. The focus groups will give you more qualitative data. And what I have proposed then is kind of combining the quantitative and qualitative data into a de-identified report for the district. But there's so many ways that this can be, kind of teased out in terms of just the complexity. So, I've kind of proposed and talked about, different versions of what can happen. And I think at the end of the day, obviously, it's up to what you all want as the outcome. And so, I don't want to speak for you, obviously, but I think, most schools that I consult with want to have kind of a general picture of what's the students' perceptions and experiences with, bullying and victimization and, kind of a snapshot or a picture of how they feel, their experiences, what they feel their experiences are, and how they feel the schools are responding to bullying.
Other questions? Debbie?
Thanks for being here tonight and taking questions. We appreciate that. I just have one question on the survey. In the details of the contract, it says the survey would be administered to the middle schools, Mountain Indian Middle School, Park Forest Middle School, and the high school. Are we going to include the Delta students in this survey? It seems like we probably should. Right? Okay. So they're not listed specifically, but okay. That I just want to make sure.
Yeah, they haven't been forgotten.
Okay. Thank you.
And it's Qualtrics, so whoever you want, me to send the survey out to, or I'm assuming, the district will send it out, is fine.
Okay, thank you.
Dan?
So two things, real quick. So after figuring out the numbers, there's like $7,800, right, left to play with in that not to exceed of 25,000, correct?
Correct.
So that gives some extra time if we need to increase some of these things. And that leads me to part two. Why are we not including at least some of the elementary schools from a certain grade level up in the bullying survey? I mean, what was the administration's rationale on that?
No, they are going to be included in the bullying survey. I don't know why.
Yeah, but it's not listed in the contract, so.
The conversation was having it go from 3rd through 12th. So
So
we may
before
need to
we get that
clarify
approved,
that.
then I would want to see that in there to make sure that gets done.
I think, Scott, this is logistics. We can make a friendly amendment, can we? Or we don't need to bring the contract back for an adjustment there? In terms of voting tonight? Yeah, okay, I agreed. I just wanted to
Okay. Yeah, I
clarify.
just wanted to make sure
To let
that
you
we-
know, we could still vote on it and make that adjustment verbally, and then the administration would follow up in writing. Gretchen?
Yeah, I think that this has been really helpful, so thank you so much, Dr. Swear, because it's making me realize that, we, as a board, we need to figure out what we want, what information we want from this, right? So, and all of the possibilities you mentioned really give us different pieces of information. And so, for example, you mentioned selecting students who had been bullied or did bullying and versus random. And you're going to get two completely, you're answering different questions, right? And so do we want, as a board, do we want to know, what are people's experiences if they are going through this? Or do we want to know just the overall broad picture or the number of, but then I also started to wonder with the number of focus groups, which I'm glad you asked that, Erin, the number of, would we be getting enough non-biased information because they're so small compared to, the number of students would be very small compared to the number of students in that school or in the district. And so is it really non-biased, or you know what I mean? Like, is it really a random sample? Because can it be a true random sample statistically if it's such a small number? So is the N too small with the number of focus groups that we're talking about so far? So anyway, and then the teachers and the students. I think those are really good questions that you asked us. Like, what do we want as a board? Do we want to know the teachers' perspectives about this issue? If we do, then we probably need to communicate that. Do we want to know the families? So if we do, then we probably need to communicate that. It seems like maybe we need to give some, more specific direction depending on the information that we want to ascertain here. So I'm not trying to answer those questions, but I'm trying to throw those questions out there so that we can, figure out what exactly we're trying to get at before you start, Dr. Swear, because it would be much better, obviously, before.
Yeah, no, I love this. So as we're talking, this is kind of an iterative process. I'm thinking it would be really cool to do three different focus groups across the ages where you've had, recommendations from staff. You have to have parental consent. You'd have recommendations from staff for kids who are bullied, kids who bully, and then just a random selection of kids. And so then you would, it would be this kind of rich picture of, what are all these different perspectives, and then teacher perspectives and parent perspectives. I think that would be really, really cool. And so it's not just about kind of doing, 3 focus groups or whatever by grade or by elementary, middle school, high school, but you're really getting a nuanced picture. Now, a qualitative researcher would say, and so I consider myself a mixed methods researcher, would say, yes, you can get a picture from focus groups, but how you select the focus groups really matters.
Yeah, I will say I could see a situation where you have a focus group of 8 to 10 kids, and half of them are victims and half of them are their bullies, and you're going to have a pretty hard time getting good information out of that group.
Yeah, we definitely don't want that.
And so we talked about those groups as well. We were concerned about us as the school district having any hand in picking students for this, which was why we wanted to have the researcher get a list of names, take in any type of bias that the school might have or whatever in the part of this research. So that's why we were saying that we would send a letter to parents, saying that we were going to do this type of, have this type of audit. They can, sign a permission form for them to participate, and then the researcher would take all the names and then select at random who those students would be. So the school district would not have any part in this audit as far as that was concerned. And that's why we decided on the 5 focus groups: elementary, middle school, and high school. And if you remember, the original proposal was only for 3 focus groups, and that was suggested by the researcher. I mean, she put together, the first draft that we looked at, and then upon bringing it to the board made some suggestions. We then made some changes. We decided to also add the survey, which was in the original contract, just to get a survey of all our students. We know that a long survey, given our climate survey that we send out, the response rate on that is not very high. So we wanted a short survey that all the students would hopefully take part in. So that's why we elected for the short survey versus the long survey. Just thinking of our kids. So this is what we ended up with, and that's what we're, trying to go with. Obviously, our school climate survey also has gone out, and that also addresses parents' concerns. They can fill those information out. It talks about those type of things as far as our school climate, and it asks those type of questions as well.
Yeah, I mean, CJ, I think that's a really great summary, because the reality is this could be super complicated. And I mean, bullying is a complicated social relationship problem. And so how do we kind of achieve your goals in terms of the knowledge that you want within a reasonable, contract and time frame? So.
Agreed. Other questions? Dan?
So I think with the survey, right, when we get those results back and we're taking a look at it, and if we're seeing, elementary or middle school, and I'm sure with this survey it's going to be anonymous based on student, right, but we're going to be able to identify schools that there potentially could be bigger bullying issues, correct? We'll know results based on school level, or?
Well, it depends on what you want. So
I would want school level, because then you can kind of start to identify what's going on at one school compared to the other, that students there feel like they're being bullied more, vice versa. I think that's very important for us to know. I think that also goes towards, the random focus groups. If the survey comes back and it's our results are, wow, a lot of kids are being bullied, then I think we need to add a few extra random focus groups, but that would be something we'd have to look at after the bullying survey. But I would request that the survey results, school-based, per building.
So it's totally up to you all. I mean, in terms of the work that I've done with other districts, some districts want that school level information. Other districts don't want the school level information. They would rather have information by grade, gender, all of, other issues, because that can get tricky, but, that's a decision for you all to make. I mean, I can, the surveys on Qualtrics, I can add a school item response, and that can happen. But I think you also have to think about the ramifications of all the decisions that you make.
So we already do that, school-based for all our other surveys. So I don't think that would be a concern, that we could do that.
And I totally defer to you all, because you all are the experts in your school district and your school climate. So that can easily happen.
Gretchen? I don't know when it's appropriate to say what, I think should be in here, or we're not doing, this is just questions, right, for Dr. Swear?
Well, yeah, and
But we're talking about the contract.
yeah, I mean, it's all of that, because
Okay.
when we're done, we're going to vote on it.
Go into the wrong topic or agenda item or something. No, I was just going to say, when you started to describe, you said, well, if we were to do all these different combinations of the things that you had mentioned, you used the word very rich. We would have a very rich understanding of this issue in our district. And just thinking about this issue, since I've been on the board for 9 years, it's just always, always, always been brought up year after year after year. And it's so hard to tell, what is representative, what's not representative, because we hear from the parents who contact us, and we don't hear from people who don't. So anyway, because this topic is of such interest to, I think, the community and the student bodies, and we hear a lot about these issues from the board perspective, or at least I have in the past 9 years. I do think that I would take this opportunity, and this is the only opportunity I've seen in 9 years, to really learn about this issue in our district and be able to communicate about it to our families in our school district and our teachers in a way that's informed. And so I would support what you used as the word rich, Dr. So teachers, families, students, and then students who are bullied, have been bullied, bulliers, and also students who have never experienced that. I think that would give us, because we've never done anything like this, this is really an opportunity to do it now. So I would definitely support all the ideas you talked about.
Yeah, I mean, currently in the contract, we did not talk about parent and teacher focus groups. And in this conversation, that's why I used the term rich, or, in this conversation, I'm thinking, that would have a perspective that we didn't originally talk about. And I can certainly work with CJ and you all, to kind of figure out what that would look like. But yeah, I think that was missing. And as we're talking about it, that would give another perspective. But we would have to amend the contract. So, I mean, and I know we've met twice, and, I really appreciate you all working through this. And, I think this is this illustrates the fact that this is a really complicated problem. And I always commend, schools and school districts for doing this work. Difficult. So I am happy to, structure things in the way, structure this work in the way that answers the questions that you all want to have answered.
Okay. Ann?
I'm just wanted to ask, because in the contract we're looking at, it does say conduct confidential focus groups with students, parents, and teachers, and then service provider will conduct 3 to 5 separate focus groups. If you were to incorporate parents and teachers, what would be the amount, the number? On my version, it's page
Yeah, I was gonna say, what, are you on 2?
Yeah, page 2.
Page 2, yeah. It would be 3, scope of
It says
service 3.
Oh, so $200 per hour for six hours to conduct confidential focus groups with students, parents, and teachers. Oh, okay. So I'm operating, I have a different contract that I was working on, so,
And that's fine. I was just
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
understand the number, like if we were going to incorporate parents and teachers, that would be a larger number, I assume, than 3 to 5. And so I'm just trying
Yeah.
to understand that part.
yeah, no. So basically my fee is $200 an hour, and then if there were more focus groups, we just calculate that. And I think that's why, as we've kind of gone back and forth with the contract, there's a little wiggle room up to the $25,000. But if we're talking about, a significant additional focus groups, then we would probably need to amend that.
Sure. Yeah.
So
I just wanted
partly, I think,
clarify.
yeah. And, the reality is we could always do another contract if it turned out that, wow, there was a lot of information that is, coming through. This would be my recommendation. So, you all could always approve this contract, and then if it turned out that there was additional work that needed to be done, we could have that discussion.
That's super helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I apologize that there's some little glitches and miscommunication, I think, in terms of the contract, and I appreciate you saying that, Dr. Swear, that you're, willing to make those adjustments, and I know we get anxious when we approve a contract that we want it to be perfect and all those things, but I think at the same time, with what we've been going through, our commitment to the community to get this process started, our desire to have that opportunity for Dr. Swear, I would feel comfortable knowing we could make amendments moving forward, potentially. That's just me personally as one, so. Peter, did you have something you wanted to add? Jackie, did you have anything you wanted to add? Okay.
I will say that I do think it will be necessary for us to go beyond this number of focus groups, especially if we're talking about bullying at the secondary level, which I think is almost a more complex problem than bullying at the elementary level. I would want to see probably 2 or 3 focus groups per school, because I just think that there's a lot of conversation to have there, particularly in a place like Park Forest Middle School, but certainly the other, and Delta as well. We don't want to forget them. So, but I would feel more comfortable, not necessarily in this contract, but in a future addendum or add-on to this contract, that we get to 2 or 3 focus groups per school, at least at the secondary level.
Gretchen?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I'm assuming that, Dr. Swear, you could just tell us after your initial research where you feel that there is information we're not getting and how we can get it. I mean, I'm guessing you're probably going to pick up on that, once you're finished with this first part. You're nodding your head, so I'm guessing yes. And so because of that, I almost feel like it's good to start this, and then once we know what we're missing, then figure it out and proceed from there. Because right now, I would just be guessing if I said this much more money or this, but I think that you'll probably give us good direction about that. So that, to me, that seems like a logical plan.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, and I think, we just kind of start and kind of see, what unfolds. It's always like kind of the layer of the onion, right? So, again, it's up to you all, but, I'm comfortable with this contract. I think this will give me, a good sense of, kind of what's happening, what the student, kind of teacher, parent perspective is, kind of generally what's going on. And, as bullying is a social relationship problem, the solution is also a social relationship issue. So developing a relationship with students, teachers, parents, and having that comfort level really helps me help schools and school districts with thinking through the complexity of this issue. So I'm very comfortable with this, but you all obviously need to be comfortable as well.
Agreed. Thank you. Other questions? So I think what I'm hearing, direction given to administration, presuming that we pass tonight's contract, we'll ask Dr. Swearer to give us a little feedback as she gets started in the process, and potentially what other additional items she may need to give her a thorough picture, knowing the feedback she's received from people at the table this evening about their interests. And certainly we'll have to balance all the time, energy costs, all those things as well in terms of making sure we get the right answers. Does that sound accurate? Everybody's okay with that? Okay. So,
Can we,
yep, go ahead.
just one caveat?
Yeah.
Yes. Approve the contract with the addendum that
For the bullying.
For the bullying.
Survey.
Survey,
Yes.
3rd and 12th grade.
So I need a motion to amend. So who made the first motion? Because I think they need to be the one to amend their motion. Gretchen. So you were the first motion. So do you want to amend your motion?
I think I need to, right?
Yes.
So
Right, that's what we're asking.
I move to amend my motion to include
grades.
the 3 through 12 in the bullying survey.
Second.
Okay. So the amendment, do we have to vote on the amendment? We don't have to. Well, it depends. If it's we could say without objection, do we accept the amendment? Yeah, so without objection, I'll accept the amendment. All right, excellent. So that amendment has been accepted. The motion has been modified with that change, and we will open it up to public comment prior to voting. Do we have anyone here in person? Okay, we can start with online. Okay, Ms. Black?
Hi, Jennifer Black, Half Moon Township. I was very encouraged by everything I saw in the contract, and I'm excited for Dr. Swearer to begin her work. The one part I had a few questions about, or at least just kind of wanted to bring attention to, was number 5, the Target Bullying Intervention Program training. We talked a lot about getting information and gathering from focus groups and surveys. But my big interest is what we're going to do with that information once we get the information. Right now, it said the service provider will provide a day-long in-person TBIP training for school mental health professionals and PA. And I know that we said at the last time Dr. Swearer was here that she was interested in continuing the relationship with the school district, and that she does that a lot of times with the school district she works with. And so that it wouldn't necessarily be just one training for mental health professionals, but I just think it's very important that as a board and as administration, I feel like as a community member and a parent, I need your commitment that it's going to go beyond this contract. It's that the whole school district community really needs this to be used as a strong foundation to create a respectful, effective learning climate in our schools, and not just be a one and done kind of thing. And I know right now that's the intention, but I just wanted, I guess, everyone to keep that in their minds on, what we do once we get the information. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I don't normally talk after a public comment, but I just want to let you know that I'm already in conversation with Dr. Swearer about future years and providing all our staff training that she provide for our mental health. So we're going to be working that out once everything comes out and we see where we need to target that training. So thanks for bringing that up.
Great, that's good to hear. Any other public comment? Okay, we're going to give it 1 second, just because sometimes we get a delay. All right, I don't think we have anyone else online, so with that, board members, those in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that contract is passed, and we'll look forward to some more conversations regarding that.
Before I sign off, I would just like to say I'm very excited about working with you all. As you know, I'm a proud graduate of Penn State, and I'm excited to come back and work with you and kind of help you with this issue. So thank you very much. And yeah, so anyway.
Thank you, Dr. Swearer. Have a good evening. We appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Good night. Okay, so we're going to move on to the Mountain Any construction project items on their agenda. We're going to start with agenda item 11. Do you want to just talk first, or do you want me to go through the first one?
Why don't you let me just talk for
That's what I
just a
thought.
second?
Okay, yeah, go for it.
So this is a little bit unique because there are multiple action items that are connected. Our new format for action items makes it, I think, a little bit more necessary for some explanation, since we don't normally do them in this manner. So the first action item we'll be asking you to accept the base bid for the project for all of the prime contractors, and those low bids have been provided to you in the memo, and there's also an attachment to show a summary of all the low bids, or of all the bids, by all the bidders for each prime contract that was included in the project. Then all of the alternates have been included for your action. All but one have a recommendation from the administration. All of the ones that have a recommendation, all are expressed in the affirmative to accept. One is recommended to be rejected. I think we talked about that last time. If there's any questions, we can talk about that again. And then the photovoltaic array has been listed as a accept or reject, because we believe that that is should be your recommendation as a board. We included information about how much that net cost would be from the IRA funding, after IRA funding, and then also Solar for Schools if we are successful in obtaining that money. And if you do accept the, let me rephrase, if you include the solar array in the project, which is in the project already, so you would be, if you wanted to take the, if you want to retain it, then you would.
It would be a deduction if you want to reject it.
Right.
If you want to accept it, the base bid stays the same.
Correct. And so, if you accept it and we retain it in the base bid, then at the next board meeting, we will ask you to pass a resolution for your commitment for the Solar for Schools grant, which we'll be applying for by the end of January, and we already are working on that application. The existing stage edition, we are recommending rejecting. Again, that's because it is an additional cost and it did not meet our required needs, and the staff of that building are on board. And the same with the solar array, in part because of additional cost, and we are already over budget. All of the other items are requested because of their financial value to the project over a long term. I think that's it.
Thanks very much. So we'll start with agenda item 11G. So this one is a motion to accept the base bids for the Mountain Any Elementary construction project, as shown in attachment 11G.
Also moved.
Colby, second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Any further questions or discussion on accepting the base bids? Okay, we'll take public comment on this item. No public comment, anyone in person? All right. Board members voting in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, we've accepted the base bid. Moving on through the process. Agenda item 11H is a motion to accept the bid alternate for the Mount Nittany Elementary unclassified construction. This is shown in attachment 11H.
Chairman Quest, so move.
I'll second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Questions or discussion on this particular item? No? Okay, any public comment on this item? All right, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, straightforward. Motion to accept, agenda item 11I is a motion to accept the bid alternate for the Mount Nittany Elementary Outdoor Storage Addition. This is shown in attachment 11I.
Miller, so moved.
Colby, second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded, thank you. Any questions or discussion on this item? Seeing none, any public comment? Okay, board members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that item is also passed. Agenda item 11J is a motion to accept the bid alternate for the Mount Nittany Elementary sod athletic field. This is shown in attachment 11J.
Buck, so moved.
I'll second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion on the sod issue? Yeah, Dr. Anderson.
Could you just give us a quick summary of why you're recommending the acceptance of this? If I'm remembering correctly, at the last meeting, you weren't sure what the recommendation would be, so just for the benefit of the public.
Sure. So there are currently 2 soccer fields adjacent to Mount Nittany Elementary, along with a softball field. In the base bid, we do have a specification to restore that ground. So one of the soccer fields, let me back up, one of the soccer fields would be a laydown yard for construction. One soccer field will have 70 wells drilled into it. So in the base bid, the specification was that it's set up for a competitive playing field. But the civil engineers would like to see 2 to 3 seasons of a grow period before we actually use the field. So our plan would be to have the well field done as kind of a first part of the project and get it seeded. So we would get one, and that would give us the 2 growing seasons that's being recommended before we get on it. But the laydown yard would be closer to the softball field. We would never have the time to do that. So we would without the softball and that soccer field, or for an extra 2 years, or risk kind of ruining it, the work that was done to bring it back into a playable surface. So that's why the recommendation. Whereas a sod field, we can get on it, either that fall or in the spring.
Thanks,
Great.
Mike. That makes a lot of sense. Other questions? Any public comment on this item? All right, board members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, sod is passed. Agenda item 11K is a motion to accept the bid alternate for the Mount Nittany Elementary Next Gen Automation. This is shown in attachment 11K.
Miller, so moved.
Buck, second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. This is going to get us a new system at less than just adding the partial system, which is remarkable. Any questions or clarifications on this one? All right, any public comment? All right, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Turning the page on this long list. All right, here's the big one and confusing one. We're going to ask for it. I'm going to request a motion to either accept or reject bid alternate for Mount Nittany Elementary photovoltaic array.
Buck, accept.
Grant, second.
Okay, so that's been moved and seconded, and just
Accept is a deduction, so you're rejecting you're taking it out of the base bid.
God,
yes, so that's what I was going to try to
sorry.
say, and
I
then I was
retract
like,
my
then I
motion.
thought
Hold
I
on.
was wrong.
I retract my second.
Yeah.
You want to reject the deduction if
Correct.
you
I
want
want
to keep it
to
in the
reject
base
the
bid. I'm not
deduction.
putting words in your
Yes,
mouth.
no, please, help me. I like the
Like
photovoltaic array. I vote to reject.
The deduction.
The alternate.
Yes.
Yes, it is a double
Yes,
negative.
exactly. It's the double negative.
You're rejecting the alternate.
And I'll second that one.
Okay, so what's on the table is a rejection of the alternate, which would have the effect of keeping the photo array in the base bids. Everybody clear on that?
Yes.
All right, I think these are tough. Questions? Clarifications? I appreciate the chart you provided at the end about the sizes of the arrays we already have. I thought that was really helpful. So this particular size one would be comparable, plus or minus, to the Delta North array. Am I reading that right?
Sure.
In terms of size. So it would be one of the bigger ones we would have should we do it, compared to the elementary schools, which didn't have the capacity for a larger array due to the roof size and all those things. So that was just kind of helpful for us to have a picture of all the ones that we do have and where we're at and what that looks like. So I appreciate that very much. Dr. Anderson?
Thanks. I have several questions. I'm going to go with 2 to 3. On that final table, I guess I just have a question because I don't study solar things. I found it interesting that the correlation, the relationship between the size of the array and the production of the array is clearly not linear. I'm sure it must have something to do with which direction they're headed or how much sun, but I mean, we're all in State College, so I don't think the amount of sun is that different. But for example, like Radio Park seems to be the most productive per KW. When I look at that table, can we explain why that is? I'm assuming this is not a typo.
It is not. So it's.
And can we predict what the array would give us on Mount Nittany L? Like, are we going to look like Radio Park, or are we going to look like Spring Creek, which looks like the least productive?
A lot of it, again, I wasn't here when we put those in, but a lot of it has to do with the type of panels that go in, the actual angle that you can get compared to the roof.
Right.
Yes, we're all in State College, right? We're all going to see the same amount of sun, but the angle of the panel, the type of panel, the type of inverter, and how efficient it is all factor in. I was actually surprised by those numbers a little bit myself. I can tell you that what I've seen from recent technology, the past year or two, is you can basically take your KW and multiply it by around 1100, and that'll put you pretty close to your annual anticipated KWH, if that makes sense. Okay. So in this case, our array is around 152 KW, and what I would anticipate to see would be about 172,000 KWH over the course of the year.
Okay, so that's my first question. I guess my second question, it's not in this, but I looked it up, so I think that the public needs to know, right? The estimated time to recoup the cost, the payback, is approximately 11 years. What is the estimated life cycle of the solar panels? Like, how long are they going to last?
Typically, they're guaranteed for 30 years. There'll be an efficiency factor. It'll say, I haven't been submittals yet, so I don't know what they're proposing exactly, but typically you'll see, close to 90%, guaranteed 90% production at year 20, 25,
Okay.
in that range.
Sounds good. So that's important for the public to know. So if we go ahead with this, once we've paid for them in 11 years, we hope to get another 10, 15 years of them,
I would expect 20.
right? And that's saving the district money in the long run. So my final question is the hardest question, and it has to do with, right, we just recently entered into this power purchase agreement where we said we're going to buy 15 point something kilowatt hours, million
kilowatt hours.
Million kilowatt hours of energy, whether we need it or not. And in our most recent year, we used about that. I expect that our energy needs will go up as we go forward. So I'm just wondering, as we have solar arrays on these buildings, as we're considering this, how does it work when we're using the energy, like when we're drawing? Do we draw it from our arrays first, and then we're still locked into buying the energy from the PPA? Or if the energy from the PPA satisfies our needs, can we sell everything we make from our solar arrays back to the grid to recoup those costs? Do you understand what I'm asking? I don't want to create energy that we don't need if we can't sell it back to the grid?
That's an interesting question. I don't think we would be set up, as far as metering, to be able to kind of just take our solar, isolate it from our electrical distribution system, and then sell it back to the grid. And you're going to keep it separate from, let's say, our PPA and our procurement of energy, right? I think that's possible, though. It would have to be set up a little differently as far as just the infrastructure. So we're going to basically, we'll draw off of the energy throughout the day that the panels create. Okay, so it basically just lowers our usage, the amount that we need to draw from the grid.
Okay.
If that answers your question.
And so that's the way it's currently set up with the current arrays that are on our other buildings. So when we look at the total energy usage in the past year, that's on top of whatever we've been producing with our solar arrays and using, because that just hasn't gone into the calculations, is that right?
Correct. You don't even see it.
Right, we don't see it. So
On the
that would be
bill.
the same way. And so as a fraction of our total, this particular array is,
1%.
thank you. So relatively small. So we're not super concerned about that being an issue with this particular array.
No, I mean, for example, I mentioned before, we're getting ready to undertake a large retrocommissioning project at the high school, and our anticipated reduction is about 700,000 kilowatt hours. So 4 to 5 times the size of this array.
Okay, thank you.
And the system on the building that we're talking about would not even be able to supply all the electricity at any given time, even for that building itself.
No.
So it would, were we in a net metering situation, we would not ever be in a position to be overproducing power where the utility would be paying us back.
Never.
Right. I have a question about, so the solar RECs that are in here, right? So the plan here is that we would not hold on to those RECs, that we would be selling those RECs. Do I understand that correctly?
We would want to sell the RECs, sure. Yeah. As a revenue stream.
Right. Until the system is paid off?
Jeff, do you have the answer to that question?
Yes, I can answer that. Actually, the district will own those SRECs indefinitely, so even after the array is paid off after the 10 plus years, the district will continue to recoup those SRECs. In addition, to answer the last question, the array is proposed to generate conservatively about 70 to 80% of the power for the addition. So if you're trying to look at the effect upon the array for the existing district's energy use the last year, you do have to assume that this new addition is going to add energy use to the district. So probably the takeaway is the array is essentially going to cover 70-80% of the new addition. So it's not like you're cutting away energy that your PPA is accomplishing.
It's a wash.
Okay.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Peter, were you asking if we would
not
sell the RECs at some point?
Well, yeah, I mean, because one of the thing, so the thing about the REC is that we don't get to say that we're avoiding, if we sell the SREC, we're selling someone else the right to say that they are avoiding that carbon.
Correct.
Right? Now, we're the ones who are doing the additionality. That's great. I think that's good. But I guess the State College Area School District School Board 11 years from now, right, could make a decision to hold on to the REC and stop selling the REC and stop using it as a revenue stream in order to say, look, that we're not letting anybody else claim the carbon credit for that, the environmental attribute. So I realize that it may be like a little bit of a distinction here. Us building it, I think, is the most important thing. That we're the people financing it, we're taking care of that. But if that becomes a decision for a future board, or a board says, we want to claim all the carbon credit for everything that we're doing, then that SREC becomes something different to the decision-making body, you know, and Mike's making a face.
I'm not making a face.
Yeah, you are. It's okay. It's all right. I'm not trying to. It's fine. But the SREC itself has a value, and I'm fine with us selling the SREC now. I think that's a good idea to help pay off the system for sure. But in 11 years, or maybe sooner, I think people should revisit the SREC for a different purpose. And the value of the SREC in Pennsylvania could go up if we change the alternative energy portfolio standard and blah, 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 blah.
Or down.
Or it could go down. Right now, I think it's $29.
35.
Oh, it's 35.
I just got my payment this week.
Oh, all right. The average in 2024 was 29.
So what I would envision is that you've entered into the power purchase agreement for 15 million kilowatt hours. Ideally, what we would do is now you have 15 million kilowatt hours that you're buying of clean energy. And what, our goal would be is to get our usage down to 15 million kilowatt hours exactly. And then there would be absolutely no need to sell any SRECs. Or not to retain SRECs, I'm sorry. You'd already be 100% renewable.
That sounds awesome. I love it. We're not there yet.
No, I know that. Yeah. I meant for this array.
Okay.
Other questions?
I gotcha. Sorry.
I'll just add that if you've ever played the game Power Grid, you totally get why this is working the way that it is. And it's a great game.
I get it. If you keep them, you're forcing other people to actually do the work instead of just buying and going off. I get it. I have panels, I have SRECs.
On the other hand, if we sell them, that saves money for the taxpayers.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. I was just
100%.
I was just explaining the philosophy behind. So they're two competing interests, and
I am not
a future board will have to decide whether that's, where they fall on the side of that one. But right now, we are clear that we're selling them. Okay. Other questions?
Should note too, the SRECs, you can hold them for 3 years, so there is a strategy if you want to hedge, if it's going to go up or down. So that's a discussion we'll have to have.
Okay, good to know. All right. Nothing else. Public comment on the solar array. All right. So once again, just to be clear, we will be rejecting the bid alternate, which will retain the photovoltaic array. That is what we're voting on. So if you vote aye, that is the outcome. All right, board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Thank you for the very fruitful discussion. The last item is agenda item 11M, a motion to reject the bid alternate for the Mount Etna Elementary existing stage addition, shown in attachment 11M.
How's so moved?
Anderson, second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Questions on this? Just not worth the investment, we've decided. Okay. Public comment on this item? All right, board members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Everybody okay? Or do we need a 5-minute recess?
No.
Okay. All right. We'll sneak out. We're going to move on then to information reports. We have the 2025-2026 school calendar. And I know Jonathan's going to give us a little background from that. Jackie was a member of the calendar committee this past year. So
I sure was.
She sure was. And so she can share any other additional perspectives.
We had a lovely time. It really was. It was a nice time.
It is always a special thing, the calendar committee. And we appreciate very much everyone who gives their time and service to that committee.
Thank you. So, yeah, we had lively conversation, and as a committee, we have a lot of balancing to do, trying to get 44 elements into the calendar. We had 26 members, so it was a good conversation. So it was quite a balancing act. And what I wanted to do is just go through, you've seen the memo, some of the highlights as far as avoiding the Grange Fair as much as possible. aligning with Penn State START and our international families that I talked about last year. Additional first student day is the 26th and on June 5th proposal. Winter break is listed there, 24 through 5 of January. That's a long break. Also, one of the biggest things that's different from last year is the snow days, and I'll try to explain that to spend my time on that. So what the proposal includes is that we have 176 school days, and that for the first 3 snow days, or inclement weather, that we do not make those up with students. If there's additional snow days over 3, we would make those up with students. And we would tack them in at the end of June, I'm sorry, end of the calendar, not end of June, we'll track that quickly. And then staff would obviously be with the students for those days. So that's our new proposal, different ways to slice the pie. We thought that would be a good way to try to meet all the requirements. Either way, the proposal with the snow days or not, we exceed the days requirement. And new this year, there's an hour requirement of a minimum of 900 elementary and 990 secondary hours, and we exceed that by excess of close to 35 days in session. And much like last year, just the religious holidays that we would not be engaging in school, as well as after-school activities on those days to allow students the ability to engage in those activities with their families.
And it's just, those are the holidays that fall on the actual school calendar. That doesn't mean, because sometimes we've had both Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, but my assumption is that Rosh Hashanah falls on the weekend.
It's on a weekend this
year. It does not. Oh, okay.
Which is not?
Which is fine.
Yeah. I thought we had done it before.
I think this current calendar year, one of them was on a weekend.
Yeah, I know we had that happen previously.
This current year, Rosh Hashanah was in early October, and Yom Kippur fell over a weekend.
Oh, okay.
So I believe the Yom Kippur is higher.
Yeah, it is.
We went back to what it was 2 years ago.
Okay. Aaron?
Since Delta will be 2 schools in this coming academic year, can we integrate their calendar into this as well? Because I know that they have ATMs, academic team meetings, at the beginning, I think the middle and the end of the year, which I think is really helpful information for families who may be interested in looking into Delta as well, because it just puts their calendar is offset, it's just different.
Yeah.
Sure.
They're all pointing fingers at each other.
It's already hard to build a calendar that is, visually, it's just already confusing. And so I don't dislike this idea, but in terms of including it to go district-wide, I think it would just cause more questions.
What if we provided a link, or
We're going to bring them forward in a separate memo. Because it has to be approved by the board. For them to be a school and have certain days off, those days have to be approved by the board. So because there's more than any other school, we wanted to bring it as separate so you can look at it and evaluate and have conversations about it. Okay.
And then maybe on the district website, we can have a link, if you want the Delta calendar, and it can jump to the Delta website. So it's available if somebody wants to look for it. Yeah, make it easy, make a connection there.
Can I just go back and make one thing really clear too?
Yes, please.
So this is proposing if we have 1 snow day next year, the students don't go any additional days. If we have 2 snow days, the students don't go any additional days. If we have 3 snow days, the students don't go any additional days. If we have 4, the students go 1 additional day. And it continues from there. So I just wanted to be super
walk us
precise.
No, it's really helpful.
That's good clarification, yeah.
Maybe we need to snip that video clip and just put that on the calendar page.
Oh, look at the camera.
Maybe on some social media sites. Anyway, other questions?
And commencement is set regardless of snow days, is that correct?
Correct, yeah. So in the fine print in the bottom left, this additional snow days would be for students grades K to 11. We would not hold our seniors back. The commencement's on the 5th.
Debbie?
I guess just in the same vein of what Jackie had to say, to just reiterate to the families that if we need to add the snow days for the students, they are already listed on the calendar in blue with an asterisk on June 8th, 9th, and 10th. So if you're planning a family vacation and you want to be sure that you don't miss the last day of school, I would plan it for June 11th or later.
Correct.
Because it is possible that those 8th, 9th, and 10th would end up as snow makeup days, just to be super clear for families.
That's the assumption that we only have 7 snow days.
This is true.
We had to stop the flu somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I don't think we've had that many in quite a number of years.
We average, I believe,
2.8.
2.8.
It's Eugene's number, 2.8.
Yeah, there was the banner horrible year of the polar vortex where we had a lot of delays after delays because buses couldn't start in the morning, but that was the most, I think, brutal year I recall.
That wasn't snow.
It wasn't snow, it was just intense, intense cold. Okay. Well, again, we appreciate the calendar committee's hard work. And this would come back at the next meeting probably for approval, unless there's other questions.
Correct.
All right, thanks so much, Jonathan. All right, next up, we have a slate of policies. Michelle's going to join us to walk us through those briefly. As brief as you want to be. I think they're just because they're very
Microphones
straightforward.
only.
No, they're just really, they're pretty boilerplate. So.
Yeah, they are. This is the Randy show, because the first 4 policies we have here were reviewed by Randy in his office. So,
Just giving it to you.
as a review, I want to let you know that, first of all, on November 19th, we looked at all these policies at the Policy Development Committee meeting, and we also had a special Policy Development Committee meeting on November 12th to take a look at the 903 public comment in board meetings policy. So that was a separate meeting scheduled just for that individual policy. So if we start with the first 3 related to budget, we have budget planning, budget preparation, and budget adoption, which are 602, 603, and 604. As you can see, they were last revised in 2000. So with them being 25 years old, almost, there are a lot of PSBA recommendations for each one of those. So if anybody has individual questions about any of those pieces, I'm here, and also Randy's to my left, so he can jump in and answer as well.
No? All right, I think we're good.
Okay. Next one also covers Randy's office. That was revised in 2009, so we got a little bit newer revision on that one, and that's the public records policy. That's a mandated policy from PSBA, and they have new definitions in there for the requester, the use of the form, notifications to third parties, and appeals involving third parties were also included in that policy. Any questions on that?
All right.
Great. Okay, 901, public relations objectives. This was adopted in 1999, and we haven't had any revisions since then. So again, it was an old policy that we're looking to revise. PSBA had made some recommendations, and there were heavy revisions that focused on the language to better reflect the intended content and public relations objectives. An additional section stressed the importance of all district staff in establishing a positive relationship with the community. So that is also included in that revision.
Yeah, one theme that we finally realized during the Policy Development Committee was that while instinctively when you hear public relations, you're thinking about specifically the communications department's kind of public relations, but this also is a more broad interpretation of that phrase, that it's about our relationship with the public, as you stated, not just strictly PR.
Right.
As sometimes many people refer to it. Any questions on this one?
Okay, the next one, Policy 903, Public Comment in Board Meetings. The title itself was revised. It was referred to as Public Participation in Board Meetings, and to focus on the purpose of the Sunshine Act requirements on providing an opportunity for comment. The title was changed to Public Comment in Board Meetings. This, as I said, was heavily reviewed for an entire meeting. A lot of discussion transpired about it. The text box at the top of the draft provides a listing of all of PSBA's rationale and the various recommended changes that they were suggesting. The revision also includes some language on individuals making requests for public comment, which would be augmented by procedures and an online request form that would be posted on the district's website each cycle when an agenda is made public. So that was a significant addition to that, and I'm not sure if anybody wants to speak to that, Ann.
Well, there is that list, but then there's always going to be the opportunity that if you are at the meeting or listening online and you want to, you can always still offer comment. So we just want to kind of underscore that with an exclamation point.
Right. Yep.
And this might be one we want to consider a communication to our community about presuming it passes and this new step is taken.
Right.
It may be something we want to just send our families so that it's, we've made a good faith outreach effort to be sure that they're informed.
Sure.
I have,
Yeah, Gretchen?
so with the list, is that going to be public? Like, let's say I'm getting ready for a meeting, and so, but I mean, it could be anybody, not just a board member, but I'm going to come to the meeting, and most people don't come to these meetings. But anyway, so can I see who is signed up and the topic that they want to talk about, before I come to a meeting? So, like, is that list visible, to everybody? So we can, that way we'd have an idea of like, oh, there's a lot of people who want to talk about solar or whatever, So anyway, I was wondering, can we see that?
Just the board, you mean? As opposed to making
I'm thinking about myself, but.
Well, I just want to clarify because it's very different to ask for the board to have permission to that versus are we going to make that up? And I see Scott, I don't know if you were leaning forward to add something. I don't know that that's necessarily a privileged or private piece of information, but at the same time, I wouldn't necessarily want to put people on blast, so to speak, to say that they're coming to the school board meeting, unless they actually do and show up and speak.
I suspect if there were a right to know law request, it would be something that we most likely would produce. I don't know that in advance of the meeting, I would necessarily consider it a public record that we need to have accessible to the public.
I concur.
Well, then I'll go back to my original question, can I have it as a board member so that, anyway, so that was one question. And then, my other question was where it says on page 4, the bottom of page 4, if not registered in advance, the public may indicate their wish to make comment upon arrival at the meeting or even spontaneously during the public comment time period, so long as time remains. What does that mean, so long as time remains?
So it means that those who have signed up in advance will be given priority.
Right.
But we also say that we have a period allotted for public comment for items that are not on the agenda for action. We have unlimited public comment, theoretically at least, on items for which you are voting, but we constrain, what do we typically
30
have,
minutes
half an hour?
typically. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, depending upon what's going on, we might elongate that time frame.
So generally, so long as time remains is 30 minutes, you said?
That's been our practice, and I think that's also, and didn't we just do that policy? They're running together. But yeah, typically we have 30 minutes.
And it's not good to put that in here, right? Because that way we have flexibility. Is that the intention?
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, the visibility of the list is just something that I just thought of as I was listening to somebody talk about it. So anyway, those are my questions.
And to your point, part of the reason to request the list and offer people a chance to sign up in advance is so we know exactly that. And if we do know that we give if we have 12 people, we could ask, we could then say, well, for tonight, we're going to make it 2 minutes so that all 12 people, at least that have signed up, have an opportunity to speak, as opposed to, restraining it and only having 2 people miss out. Or we, as the board, make a waiver and say, we're going to make it 35 minutes so that we can get 2 extra people in. So that is part of the rationale, is not to put an onus on people, but more so we can be better prepared and hopefully create a situation where we can hear from more voices as opposed to less. So that is and that's something maybe we can communicate when we share out with our community. We can kind of try to.
And another benefit of that is that you can kind of go back and forth between a virtual and in present, because in some ways I think our current practice is to kind of wait until the virtual, and some people can't make it and they still should get priority as well. So I think that's a reason why that works.
Agreed. Yeah, tonight Lynn did tell me we had at least one hand raised immediately, so I knew to make sure to get that in.
So your response then makes it sound like we will be able to see it ahead of time.
Yeah, Lynn's going to have it, so I don't know that it's
difficult
difficult for her to share it with us.
The whole board?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, that'd be helpful.
I think we should be able to manage that. Anything else on public comment?
Thank you all for your work on that. Having a special meeting was really helpful, getting that done. And last for tonight is 9/11 news media relations, and that was last revised, actually no revisions since 1999. So it's an old one that's been on the books for a long time. We did consult the communications team when we were working through this, and you can see that there's heavy revisions given the fact that it's very old. We also wanted to point out that there was a removal of the student expression piece of this policy because it is covered now under our comprehensive policy 220 that addresses the student expression. So that piece was taken out. Yep. Any other questions? Okay, these will be brought forward. Oh, I'm sorry, Debbie.
I'm so sorry. I meant to send an email earlier. Back on policy 603, there's just a random number that, it's like a little typo.
Okay.
But if you're in the document,
I am.
it's on the last page.
Okay.
There's just a number 7 with nothing next to it. And then there's a number 7.
Okay.
So just,
Heads up.
we'll just delete that, and then it makes no actual difference.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, these will be brought forward in January for approval. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Michelle. All right. And that, I think, concludes our information reports. We can move on to board reports. Intermediate unit, Ann or Jackie?
So we had a meeting this week, and there's not much to report. IU is very excited to be bringing SCASD into the consortium on Cartwheel, and also happy to be working on the math review. Dawn is awesome, so I'm really excited to have her involved. Did you have something to add?
I just wanted to ask how the funding was going for the new building.
Oh, thank you for asking. So, we are getting all our ducks in a row and trying to figure out how to build a building for $7 million. And so that's the number. We're not leaving money on the table, and we don't want to spend more, right? So we're working with an excellent team of architects and engineers and planners to really help us out with that, and getting all the financing in a row, because since it was a matching grant, we have to borrow money to go with the money we're getting from our grant. So thank you for asking. We're all very excited, and we're having a lot of meetings about it. So I'm sure if you ever want to get filled in, just let me know.
Thanks, Jackie. Ed Foundation report, I was able to go, although Dan's taking over. We mostly finalized some of the maroon and gray nominees and talked a bit about that. And so I'll make sure you're looped in for the next meeting and make some introductions for you. CTC Local Advisory Committee?
Yes, we had a meeting November 20th. It was a joint meeting that we have usually with CPI. We have to have this every other year. And because this is when we reviewed what we completed last year, and then the next cycle, we cycle back to the official CLNA that we submit to PDE for the grants. So basically, the State College portion of the meeting, we reviewed the Perkins performance indicators, and it's from 22-23 because it's always delayed. So some of the results that we got, it's kind of hard to say, are we doing better, because it was like 2 years ago. But anyway, this is what we had to do. They're gonna be releasing the data from 23-24 in the spring, so we plan to have a meeting then to review that. There were a few areas that we were concerned about, and that were the keystone indicators in literature, algebra, and biology. We are above the state average at 76, 68, and 76 respectively, and the state is 40, 22, 35, so we're way above it. But the problem is that we're so high above it that it's hard to see improvement, because once you're so high.
Are those the state averages for CTCs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, CTC.
I know that's,
Yeah.
that's not like
This
just
is
the overall.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
all CTC. So that was one area, and another area that we are below actually was the non-judicial concentrator, and we're always a little bit below that because of the male to female. They want mixed of male and males going into quote female professions and vice versa. And so the state is at 15.9% and we're at 10.20. But we've added, since this came out, we've added engineering and we've added general ed, and where the ratios is about 50-50. So we believe that we should see an improvement in those non-judicial concentrators. And then Ben informed us of some exciting grant opportunities, including the supplemental and the competitive equipment grant and the PA Smart grant, and we've applied for all three of those. And if we get them, we should be able to get anywhere from $300,000 to $400,000. So we're pretty excited about that. Finally, Ben introduced us to Todd Dublin, and he works for the Chamber of Business. Well, he works with them, the Chamber of Business Industry of Center County, and he works on the economic part. And basically what they did, they hired a national firm about a year and a half ago to look at the region's growth potential. And they finished the study recently in October, and it's now on the website for anybody that wants to review it. They also conducted 40 to 50 input sessions, focus group, and meetings with Penn State, gathering insight on approximately 40 to 50 areas of interest for the region. And because this is really important, because it does concern us, and the insight that they gathered, they will be implementing this over the next 5 to 10 years. So one of the things that they found is that a lot of the cities in PA are being contracted as far as the population, but our population is expected to grow by 20,000 by the year 2050. So because of this, the Chamber of Commerce, they want to focus on business retention expanding. They want to target emergency industries in sensor technology, such as spanning centers, ultrasound and chromatography, lab equipment, and healthcare. They want to build on and promote natural resources so that people could come and stay here because of everything that we have going on in this area. And also they want to look at housing if they're going to try to attract people to this community. Lastly, which is really what concerns us, they want to look at industry-specific workforce needs in education. Basically, they want a strained connection between educational institution and local employees to create clear career pathways. So many positions that they're seeing only requires high school diploma, the equivalent, with opportunities for advancement to higher paying position. So Ben concluded the meeting by reminding us that in hockey, we don't skate where the puck is, but where it's going to be. So we're working really hard to try to move towards where the needs for the workforce will be in the near future.
As a parent of 2 ice hockey players, that is spot on and exactly what the coaches teach. You need to be where it's going to be. That's great to hear. Yeah. Good to know. Go ahead. Go ahead, get your I told you so.
I just want you to be cognizant of what she just said there when we're talking about facilities in the future.
Yep.
And if I can, where is the study located?
The Chamber of Commerce,
their website?
The CBICC
Yeah.
website?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that's what
Thank you.
I could always try to send it to you too. I have the link.
Yeah, I wasn't sure which website. It was in my brain.
Okay.
I think housing, yeah, is a big question.
Oh, yeah.
Some of that population is going to be students, because Penn State has already announced that they're growing university campus, but I hope healthcare is big on their radar on that study,
Yeah.
because from my perspective, that's the biggest one. Okay, thanks, Carlene, that was great, very detailed. CACs, athletics? Did you?
Nothing.
Oh, did you have something to add, Aaron? Okay. Sorry, go ahead, nothing,
We
okay.
haven't met.
Facilities, I don't think, have they met? Okay, finance,
Finance was supposed to have a meeting, but we deferred it until January.
health and safety, I think you guys aren't due till maybe soon. Technology,
Well, we have a meeting on the 19th.
all right.
I'd also like to, earlier in the meeting under consent agenda, we did approve a new member for our technology committee, so looking forward to chatting with them on Thursday and getting to know them a little better.
Thank you for saying that. When I saw that, I wanted to mention it when I was going through the agenda, and it slipped my mind, so I appreciate, we really appreciate people who volunteer their time
We're
for
up to
that.
5 now, right? Yay.
Small but mighty,
Nice.
we're growing.
You're quite the recruiters. We're gonna put you on other CACs to recruit. All right, anything else from board reports? All right, that concludes our agenda for this evening. We're gonna adjourn to executive session. Future meetings. Okay, yeah, I want you're gonna give me your rapt attention, right? I'm teasing you. Monday, January 13th, we'll have Committee of the Whole, Panorama Village at 7 PM. Tuesday, January 21st, will be Policy Development Committee, that's at 1:30 at Panorama Village. Monday, January 27th, 2025, will be regular board meeting, that's again here in Panorama Village at the board room. And that is the last of our items. Now I'm really adjourning, sorry. Yes.